Chapter 6. Story: The Dangers of Witchcraft, Spirits in a Witch's Home. In my ongoing research for this book and for the rise of the occult, I listened to several active witches explain their beliefs on various topics. While I do not recommend this for most people, it was very informative and confirmed what I was learning from the former occultists whom I was interviewing. Further, it provided examples of the dangers that occultists fall into and the blindness that prevents them from realizing what is happening to them. Among these dangers is what one online witch called spirit encounters. Her story exemplified an important warning which can serve as a lesson to those who think dabbling in witchcraft is just for fun, or for those who think there is nothing to be afraid of when practicing witchcraft. Further, this story is important for priests to hear. Some witches are fleeing witchcraft because they are opening up doors to the demonic that they never knew were possible, and, as a result, are suffering diabolical attacks which might push them to the church for help. Exorcists have spoken about the rise in the number of such cases. The witch featured here is present in our world today, and she is just one of many who are practicing and proclaiming the ways of witchcraft to an ever more gullible population of paganized people. Here is her story. In discussing various topics with her audience, Lola turned to the issue of ghosts, or, as she clarified, strange spirit encounters. She explained, quote, "I'm definitely finding more and more that I am getting strange spirit encounters time and time again." End quote. She then explained that her house is, quote, "fairly well protected," quote, by means of the rituals she has done, including home protections, wards, and shields. She said, quote, "I like to keep my space fairly insulated from external interactions, just so that I can have a nice, safe, calm environment." End quote. The new spirit encounters that she was experiencing are quite unusual, she stated, and she wasn't sure exactly why they were happening. Quote, "It is getting a little bit strange over here," end quote, she said. Importantly, she admitted that she doesn't understand these manifestations, adding, quote, "I can't tell entirely what's causing this," end quote. Despite that, while giving the impression of being concerned, she was not overly concerned. Naively, as she has, quote, "protected," end quote, her house by her rituals, she has also instituted rules in her house regarding spirits coming and going. She said, quote, "Here, spirits are allowed to pass into my space as long as they come with some kind of warning message, or they are there peacefully. I don't typically allow anything into my space that is negative or aggressive," end quote. She presumed to have the power to control spirits, but stated at the same time, regarding the new manifestations, quote, "All of the spirit encounters that I've had recently have been for a reason. I just can't quite figure out what that is yet," end quote. The manifestations, as I am calling them, are, unfortunately for her, just that, likely signs of a diabolical presence. She said, quote, "I have had whispering. I usually don't have whispering in my house," end quote. Her admissions reveal that she has clearly, at some point in the past, already invited spirits into her home. She explained, quote, "None of the present spirits, or should I say the consistent spirits, have a whispery tendency. You'll often find that some spirits will prefer to interact in certain ways, and none of the spirits that are permanent residents in my home have a whispery tendency," end quote. In addition, she heard, quote, "phantom noises in places where there shouldn't be noises," end quote. She has also seen a lot of small shadows appearing. These are things that, apparently, she has not had in her home before. She stated that she did experience this in a previous home some years ago, but this is the first time it has happened in her current home. The most significant event, which was actually unsettling to her, occurred when she heard the sound of knocking on cabinets and appliances in her kitchen. The sound progressed from the back of the kitchen all the way to the door that was right next to where she was sitting, getting louder and louder as it came closer. Her reaction to this kitchen banging was to simply ignore it and hope it went away. Prior to this encounter, her experiences with spirits ranged from those that simply wanted to communicate with her to those on the negative side that wanted to mess with her. The latter is the kind that she had also decided to ignore, thinking they would realize she was not interested and get bored and leave. In the past, when she had tried to tell a difficult spirit to stop, it had often made things worse. She was very confident that the other witches from her nearly 200,000 YouTube subscribers who actively follow her standard witchcraft content, quote, "will likely have experienced this," end quote. This encounter mentioned above, involving the unsettling banging in the kitchen, took place between the modern pagan witch festivals of Beltane and Letha during the months of May and June. This, like Samhain, she believes, is a time when spirits' activity is on the rise. She said, quote, "This is definitely a time in the year where you will likely start noticing spirit encounters really increasing dramatically," end quote. There are numerous red flags in this account. Lola is already immersed in serious sins because of her embrace of the superstitious beliefs and practices which she detailed in this account. Thus, she is not protected by grace and is vulnerable to extraordinary diabolical influence. Further, she has already explicitly invited numerous nameless spirits into her home, and by establishing rules for their activity, has deepened her level of consent to their presence and activity. Given her spiritual state, a soul from purgatory would not visit her, since she, being absent of grace, cannot offer any spiritual assistance from which such a soul would benefit. Thus, particularly given the presence of small shadows appearing and of a sinister banging in the kitchen, what she is most likely dealing with is a demon. If this witch is not careful and does not cease these dabblings, she will soon need an exorcist, if not already. Given that this is apparently a common experience for witches like her, those who have loved ones in the occult and those who are helping witches leave the occult should take note of this concrete danger they are likely facing.